Hello, welcome everyone to today's webinar, webinar number 7, which is focusing on surfacing the signal in a bullish market. Very great to see Bitcoin holding steady above the 100K mark, and very great to have all of you here today. Drop your GMs in the chat. Very excited to share many interesting Nansen updates and some on-chain alpha with you today. Before I share a little bit more about what we are going to be covered in what's going to be covered in today's session, quick intro from all of us. My name is Charlie. I lead growth here at Nansen. I've been with Nansen for the last 3 years, but have been working in the industry since 2019. Mostly working with funds and professional investors who use Nansen. I'll pass it over to Aurelie, who is a new face today. Aurelie is one of our gigabrains here at Nansen and leads our research team. But over to you, Aurelie.
Hi guys, very happy to be here. So we work at Nansen with the research team, mostly with investors. And today we will present a few trading and investment signals that are available and will also be soon available for you guys.
And my name is James. I'm a community manager for the Nansen Alpha Group. I spend a lot of time with our professional user base. I make sure they have everything they need. I make sure that they know how to use the product and they're up to date on all the latest features. So hopefully I'll be able to give you some insights that I give to them today. All right, Charlie, I'll pass it back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, James. That's frankly what you two are best at, is helping all of Nansen users to win with different signals and on-chain movements. So really excited to be able to share that with a much wider audience today. But the topics that we're going to cover, first up is we're going to look at some pretty interesting recent on-chain movements, some interesting stories as well that can be explained with some on-chain data. Aurelie will then be chiming in with some of the signals and trading indicators that her and the research team have built out. Some of them are accessible now for our professional user base, and we're currently working on integrating them into the web app as well. So it's a bit of a sneak peek as to what is to come, but a lot of what we're going to be covering today is exclusive to the professional plan. So we're also going to be sharing a bit more about the API, which we have just launched in the last week, which is very exciting. We've got teams like Wintermute and Infinex in the closed beta testing round at the moment. So excited to share some of the functionality that is available there. Before we get into it, you've just seen a quick QR code pop up there in the corner. If you scan that, it's going to take you to a Luma link. All you have to do is register and leave your Telegram handle in the Luma link. And you can actually go into the draw to win a 6-month professional subscription for free, which is worth about $7,000, and will actually give you access to the API, which we're going to be talking a bit more about later on today. So make sure you leave your Telegram in there, and our team will then reach out with some more information after this demo. But good luck. I hope that you win, whoever this lucky person is, getting $7,000 for free. Alrighty, so I'm going to share my screen quickly and just give you a very brief overview of what Nansen is all about before James is then going to chime in with some interesting stories and some on-chain data that we've seen recently. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Nansen, it is the platform that you're looking at now. Nansen is a on-chain analytics tool that is used by investors, really to help them make more money on chain, to help them to grow their portfolios by discovering new opportunities, by being able to perform due diligence, and also helping to defend your positions as well. So we're going to show you some examples of how you can do this today in this webinar. Hopefully we can surface some interesting alpha to help you grow your portfolio as well in this call. Really, one of the secret sources to Nansen is the wallet labels. So you can use Nansen to get visibility into who is doing what on chain. If you were just to look at like an Etherscan or a block explorer, you're just going to see an OX address and you don't actually know who it is. Is it a centralized exchange? Is it a public figure? Is it Wintermute dumping on people? Who knows? However, that's where Nansen comes in, and you can see who is buying tokens in real time, who is selling tokens in real time, and being able to track their activity yourself can help you to follow in their footsteps to become a better crypto investor. So we have 350 million wallets that are labeled across a whole bunch of different chains. This includes all the EVMs that you're going to care about, plus some non-EVM chains like Bitcoin, like TON. We're very close to launching Hyperliquid as well, which is very exciting. And Solana, of course, which has been very, very dominant over this cycle. So of those 350 million wallets that we have labeled, the most profitable 5,000 of them are assigned this little smart money emoji here. And it represents, again, like the 1% of the 1% of all on-chain investors. And you can use Nansen to get visibility into what they are buying and selling in real time. So you can really isolate that most profitable 5,000 addresses and follow in their footsteps. So you can rely on institutions, funds, investing teams that can help you to make better decisions. I'm going to pause here. I will pass it over to James, who's going to show off some really interesting new features that have just gone live over the next little while, and some interesting on-chain data and some stories by looking at some recent funds that have been accumulating and some public figures as well. I will tune in a moment again, but just a quick reminder, scan that code that will pop up again shortly. We'll also drop the Luma link in the chat, so you can leave your Telegram handle in there and go in the draw to win a 6-month professional subscription, which is worth $7,000. Anyway, enough from me. Over to you, James. Excited to see what you have to share today.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Appreciate that. So as I mentioned earlier, I work with a lot of our professional user base, making sure that they know that new features have come out and new features exist. We might have covered some of these features before in our previous webinars, but I just want to make sure that everyone actually knows these exist, because there are hidden tricks within Nansen that are sometimes hard to figure out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pick a token from our token screener. I'm going to go with bid, and we're going to jump into token God mode. And right away, we're taken to the overview tab. And up here on the chart, there's these two little features that are very difficult to find, but are extremely powerful. Now, bid has gone up quite a lot over the last day. I think it's up 70% over the last 24 hours. But what I can do is I see this big green candle here, and I'm interested in who got in on this big green candle here. And I can click the candlestick inspector, and that allows me to press on any candle and see who the biggest buyers were and who the biggest sellers were. And immediately I get a list of these people. I see there was even a 180-day smart trader in there buying 12K, and now they're up 70%. So that's pretty nice for them. What this is really good for as well is for trying to find insiders. Let's say an event happens, let's say there's a big announcement for a token today, but we see that the volume picked up yesterday, and there were a lot of people buying around, let's say 5 p.m. yesterday. We can go to the 1 hour candle between 5 to 6 p.m. yesterday. Click on that candle where the volume began to pick up and see who are the first wallets that started buying here. And most likely we're going to find some insiders in there. So that's how this tool is really useful. And another tool is this. This is the label inspector. So let's say we can see, we can take a look and see what smart money are doing as a whole. So we're not looking at just a specific candle, we're looking at all these candles, and we're going to paint the chart with the smart money activity. And actually I missed what we can see here with the label inspector is that I missed when smart money actually got in very early, and that was right here. So this is what it's really good for. We can see their buys, their sells, when they transfer tokens in and transfer tokens out. So there are two really nice features that are quite hidden in the product, and I want to make sure everyone knows that they exist. Another thing that people are unaware about is the fact that we do have some hyperliquid integrations already in the platform. So I'm going to, oh, sorry. Let's see. I'm going to go to this address here and show you their hyperliquid positions. So currently they are in a Bitcoin short 20x leverage, and their position value is 26 million. But before we talk about their positions, let's take a look at how they've done over the last while. And we can actually watch their performance over time, and we can see that in the last 7 days, they've gone up 6.276 million. So they're doing pretty well for themselves. Being able to analyze wallets like this is extremely useful. We can see that they're quite a volatile trader. They almost lost it all, but somehow they managed to make it all back. So it's been a quite an impressive run for this wallet. You can see the total equity they have, the total margin used, and even the leverage that they are using, which is quite useful. We can see where their liquidation price is, and we can see how much they've paid or received in funding fees. And then that's all for our live positions and tracking their performance over time. But maybe if you want to drill down further into their actual trade performance, you can go down here and see what their biggest realized wins and realized losses were. Right now, we can actually see their Bitcoin position is up 300K. They're up 23%. And that's going to be an interesting one to watch, as Bitcoin seems to be in a volatile spot at the minute. There's one other hyperliquid address that everyone has been talking about lately that I have enjoyed watching on Nansen and watching the drama unfold, and that's actually James Wynn. And let's just take a quick look at this address, considering he's all over crypto Twitter at the minute. We can actually watch the parabolic run that he had, and where profits went up to 82 million. And it seems at the minute that he has turned it all to dust. He does still have one position left that could make it all back for him. So shout out to him. Hopefully he can do it. It's been an insane run, and I've been enjoying watching it on Nansen, and I hope it doesn't end here. Now just to touch on some interesting stuff on funds that I've seen lately. One thing I saw was that Kinetic Capital, this is one of the reasons why you should be tracking funds, in my opinion. Kinetic Capital started buying this meme coin mask, and it ran 4x ever since. And they started just swapping into it and DCAing into it, and they are still holding their entire position. So they're up pretty well. Currently, they are up, I think, 115%, it looks like, after this recent downturn. But they're holding strong and haven't moved anything out. So that's one of the reasons you should be looking at funds, and not always just the blue chip stuff they go after. Sometimes their meme plays are pretty strong. Another one that I'll touch on here is DACM are actually currently holding syrup and accumulating syrup, it seems. They did deposit some to Binance recently, but they withdrew it. And DACM are a very good liquid fund. Why might you be interested in DACM? Well, historically, they've been quite good at trading liquid positions. If we take a look at their recent FXS win, this was quite an unusual one. I don't think many people saw this coming, and that's why I was quite impressed by it. I think they made about 350K in about 15 days, which is pretty good. And I think a lot of people were confused as to why they were buying FXS. But this is why we have Nansen. This is why we can track them. These guys are some of the smartest people in the industry, and this is why we want to follow them. They spot things that other people can't. And then the last thing I spotted on Nansen recently is that Andrew Kang seems to be jumping back in the trenches, and he bought this robot meme coin. Now, no financial advice for any of the tokens mentioned here, of course, but he just seems to be dropping in large sums at a time for the liquidity that is existing for that token, and he just seems to be pumping the price every now and then, which is interesting to watch, and he's just holding through any volatility. So there are three interesting things I've seen lately on Nansen. I'm going to stop here as I've been speaking for a while, and I'm actually going to pass it over to Aurelie.
Thank you, James. I'm actually going to jump in quickly myself before we hand it over to Aurelie. But yeah, some really interesting data that you showed there. Just goes to show why tracking smart money can be so key. I'm going to share my screen and just show that. Let me just bring this up on my side, just to show how you can actually access a lot of this data that James was taking a look at. So we have a really powerful search function here in Nansen where I can actually search for something like mask, and I can see the token there, which we'll take a look at in a moment. I can also search for a fund like DACM, or I could plug in a specific address. We have like Kinetic Capital as well. I can even search for someone like James Wynn and see all of the addresses that we have labeled as James in essentially one umbrella view here. So it can be really powerful to then also be able to bridge the gap between the like on-chain and off-chain world. Like if you weren't so sure of who James Wynn was, here you can see his Twitter, and here you can see his on-chain holdings. So if James ever makes a post on Twitter shilling a certain token, for example, then you can actually come to Nansen to ensure that, like, is this guy just using us as his exit liquidity? Is he still actually holding the token, etc.? We can also search for a fund like DACM that James was just talking about. We can still see some of their positions across like Aave, Syrup, etc. We can see all of their transactions as well. So if you think about just how unique this is, it's almost like giving you access to the office at a fund. It's like you're on the trading floor at a fund by getting complete visibility into what these funds, these investment experts are buying and selling in real time. Like even just here, they've been active with sending some immutable to Coinbase Prime. In the world of TradFi, you just have no idea that funds are making these investment decisions. But with a tool like Nansen, you can see that this is a fund address sending to a exchange deposit address, likely meaning that they're selling off this activity. So that's, again, really just like some of the power of Nansen. If I just search for a token, something like Mask that James also shared about, if I take a look at the holders tab, there's this really handy new feature which allows you to filter easily by smart money or by public figures. And this is where James actually would have found that Kinetic Capital sitting on that 33K-ish of Mask token. And they actually just received a lot of that as an inflow over the last 2 days or so. So it's always really interesting to me when you see a fund that are taking quite significant amounts of risk in a token called Cat with Mask. Love to see that personally. And I'm going to pause here, but I'm going to pass this over to Aurelie now, who's going to speak a little bit more about the lay of the land, the market, and some of the trading indicators that we have built out as well.
Just before, sorry, Charlie, just before Aurelie takes off, we might remind you to make sure that you scan the QR code and register with the Luma in order to win the competition.
Exactly. And just on that as well, something that we haven't announced yet is that you can actually use the code Nansen API 10 at checkout, and you can save 10% off a 6 or a 12-month professional plan, which you can either pay for in fiat or crypto. And you'll be able to actually join the exclusive round of beta testers, where we have teams like Wintermute, Infinex, etc., testing this API out at the moment. So if you want to get your hands on it, do apply that Nansen API 10 code at checkout. Otherwise, feel free to get in touch with our team just via the website and just let us know that you're here to talk about the API and that you came through via the webinar. We'll be more than happy to get some time set up with you or potentially your team as well to see if the API is a solution for you. Okay, thank you. Over to you, Aurelie, all yours.
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks, James. Hi, guys. So it's going to be from now on a bit of a blend of market view and products sneak peek. So let me share my screen and tell you more about it. All right. So we're going to start actually with some indicator that allows us, crypto traders and investors, to cap our losses and cap our drawdowns, hopefully, because we know that in the end, in crypto, it's nice to be able to choose the best token. It's also very nice to be able to stay in the game, and you won't be able to avoid some volatility, of course, because it's a volatile asset per se, but maybe you can try and manage your allocation or your risk, how much you allocate to crypto, so that you avoid the largest drawdowns like the one we had, for example, that started in December or in February, depending on where you put the peak, and that sort of finished in April. So that would be nice to be able to have an indicator that tells us, okay, be a bit careful now, and maybe it's time to take a little bit less risk. So that's why we created the Nansen Risk Barometer. It's already available for our alpha clients, especially. Here I'm just showing you the history, the back test. And essentially, it's a barometer that goes into different areas. You can see it goes from the green, very risk on, to the red, very risk off. And the more reds, the more careful usually the message is, meaning the allocation to crypto should be catered to those risks. So we have higher risk of larger drawdowns in these red areas. So you can see in history, so the indicators spend a lot of time in the risk-off area, especially in 2021, 2022, etc. And 2023, it's kind of oscillated. And you can see 2024, since 2024, we're mostly into the green or the neutral area. So meaning it was quite good in kind of detecting the periods where really we had risk of large drawdowns. So you remember 2022 was not fun. And more recently, so it's this indicator turned neutral in I think it was just before January, so December 2024. And I'll show you also the latest signals since then. So the idea is like if you had followed this indicator and kind of in December started to take a bit some risk off the table, would have been beneficial. So that's what we are trying to achieve. Let me switch to this screen. So this screen is a bit like, let's say, playing ground within Nansen for visualization, and it's accessible to our alpha clients right now. but we are moving everything into the web app this month. So it will be also available in the web app. So you can see this is the same barometer I showed you earlier. And here you have the latest signal. It's still risk on for now. It turned actually risk on the 19th of April last. So quite a good timing. And I'll show you how it's evolving a little bit below. But it's important to say that this barometer is a mix of 3 indicators. So it starts with some on-chain data. So we are actually tracking how many stablecoins are available in smart money wallets. The more we have stablecoins in there, the more we can expect that those guys are cautious. Then we have some price data, which is a simple momentum signal. So calculating the price. So you can think of it as more the technical part, technical indicator. And then we follow also some option data, and we mix all of this together, and this gives us the signal. So this is why basically from if we have the 2 main ones are this one. So from April, 19th of April on, you can see that both of those guys were risk on, and it turned risk on. So what's happening more recently, if we take the underlying indicators, let's zoom in. For example, on the option one, so since actually May, you can see it's kind of decreasing. And if it were to cross this red threshold there, we would have in that bucket, we would go to a risk off signal. So it would mean with the combination of both of those ones, kind of a neutral stance. So right now the message is that we turned neutral in December 2024, turned risk on in April, 19th of April 2025. We are still risk on, but we are monitoring basically the option indicator. Could be that we switch to neutral, basically. This is the other part, the other indicator that is part of the barometer. It's the momentum, and this one is still above our green threshold. So to summarize, like what you will get in the web app is like the latest message, basically, of the barometer, and when it switches. And then for professional subscribers, there is also a possibility to look at the history and maybe to test it or to manipulate it however you want. So that's one. We have that. On a larger time frame, we also thought, okay, it would be nice if we could identify the cycles, so the bull and bear cycles, the legendary 4-year cycles. And we have another indicator for that. It kind of measures the breadth of all crypto and if they are rather in the rising trend or descending trend. And according to that, you can think of it as a more macro, larger time frame indicator. And according to that indicator, we turned to a bull market in March 2023, and we are still in a bull market right now. So personally, it's also my conviction. So not really only looking at this indicator, but just we can talk about more kind of qualitative or fundamental developments. But I do agree sort of for now with this assessment, because I see that the bull market is often being questioned, and it's understandable with what happened this year. But to me, it's still the case that we are in a bull market or a bull regime also. Okay, so these were the two, and these two indicators help you basically size your risk. So yeah, I can really quickly show you the back test of this, and the idea. We tested this indicator over since 2021, and the idea is that if you had bought, for example, just BTC and held it, you would have ended up with a drawdown of almost 80%. And then if you overlay the indicator, you can you still have a big drawdown, but you can reduce it to 40%. So the idea is, can we achieve that where because we know it's very easy basically to panic and to take money off during a drawdown, and then we realize a loss. So the idea is, can you avoid these drawdowns? And this is the result of our testing. Basically, you can reduce the max that you can lose over that period from 77 to 44% if you overlay it. Here it's with Bitcoin, but can be with any crypto strategy. All right, so let's quickly go over markets before I go over the token scores. So let me just, sorry, it's here. If we go to markets, basically, I think what we're seeing at the moment is a sort of wall of worry, of being kind of overcome. So like our market's view is that for some assets like equities, it's getting a little bit harder, it's getting a bit expensive. There has been a lot of optimism repriced. But for crypto, there is a different narrative going on. It has to do with regulation, especially. And like this is just a bit more the research part, basically, that you can also find on our research portal. And we are especially encouraged by the regulatory momentum. So the latest one were really the Clarity Acts, where basically it's getting easier for circulating issued token to be treated as commodities. So that's one advantage for circulated tokens. And then something that's close to our business here in Nansen around staking. We had kind of a SEC issuance recently, and kind of really allowing basically third-party staking, liquid staking, to happen without being considered a security, which is really really bullish. I mean, you have some certain conditions to fill, like self-custody, etc. But we think that it could be favorable to the main staking currencies like ETH, Sol, BNB, Sui, ADA, etc. To staking platforms, and then for you guys who are more into kind of traditional assets, also for all the asset managers and ETF manufacturers such as BlackRock. So this is just to give you an idea of how you can mix basically the market view that is more fundamental, and also the indicators. In terms of our other project that we are preparing for you, so it's nice to be able to avoid drawdowns, but then you have to see, okay, what do I buy apart from Bitcoin? And what we are preparing right now is in the screen that James just shared, token God mode, you will have a score for each token, and this score will rely on different indicators. And the idea is, can we actually predict? It's very ambitious, but can we kind of say if returns are going to go up or down? And can we also have the risk profile of a token? So you can see it will be a mix of indicators. It will have to do with smart money, as we talked about, but also price momentum, social media momentum. So it will be a mix of off-chain and on-chain data. On the risk side, you will have the wallet concentration risk and other risks. And the idea is that what we're doing right now is we're testing all of this for you guys and checking over a different period of times how this performed and if they were actually predictive or not. We've chose those ones based on our intuition. We know that a lot of our clients, for example, use Nansen to check the wallet concentration for example, for liquidity pool. If there is a lot of concentration, then it kind of raises a red flag. This is also a treasurer uses that feature. Social media momentum, like it has a lot of buzz, and we are testing also to which extent and over which time frame it can be useful. So the idea is you'll have all this information gathered into some scores that can help you at least surface the signal and find interesting tokens, hopefully. This is how it will look like in the product. So just a very sneak peek. So you will have the token God mode. you'll have a certain token, and then you'll have whether what's the risk profile and whether we think the return is expected to go up or stay neutral. And then you will have the underlying indicators there. This is an example of one of the indicators we tested for you. So it's called trading range. And with Aave, and you can see the different signals here and how they, when they green, the score that you will see here will be green, and when it's red, it's going to be red in the score. So just to show you a little bit how we're doing the historical tests. In terms of interesting tokens, recently, if we take one of our indicators, the momentum one, you can see we were quite early, for example, on Aave. So you can see this indicator ranks the tokens with the highest score, and Aave around mid-May, kind of even before, started to appear in our rankings. Lately, we still have Aave in our rankings, and we just had Zcash, I think, appeared maybe 29th of May. So yeah, that's one of the other tokens that are interesting to follow. So yeah, just wanted to give you just a little overview of the ones that could be interesting that popped up recently. This is just one indicator, so you'll have also others, of course. So to summarize, the idea with those signals is really that we try and make your life a little bit easier. Of course, you still have to do due diligence, but the idea is that you can go into Nansen and see, okay, what's the trend today? Is it risk off or is it risk on in terms of the barometer? And then if it's risk on or neutral, it's interesting to go into the token score and figure out, okay, what are the tokens that are starting to flip bullish, and also the risk profile. What is the risk profile I'm ready to consider for these tokens? Yeah, I guess that concludes this overview. Thank you so much, guys.
Great. Thank you, Aurelie. It's always so interesting to hear your insights, especially after you've worked in funds and TradFi for many years before joining Nansen. So thanks a lot for sharing that. I just wanted to give a quick reminder before I share a little bit more about some interesting on-chain movements. We've just put a QR code up the top left, which is where you can win we've just swapped it. So we've got 10% off a professional annual plan, which is, or a 6-monthly plan as well. It gives you basically complete access to Nansen. It's really the full package solution. So the first offering is you get complete access to the web app, which is what James was showing us just before. You also get complete access to our API product. And if you actually use that code, I can get you access to the beta testing round. So you can be one of the first people in the whole crypto market to get your hands on Nansen's data via an API. And then lastly, you can also get your hands on our alpha community, which is an exclusive community of professional investors. It is made up of smart money, fund managers, analysts, degens, etc. This is where you can discuss market insights, connect with analysts like Aurelie and the rest of the team, and actually get access to all of the live indicators that Aurelie was just sharing then as well, excluding the token score. So currently they are available only to alpha members, which is that community on the professional plan. But we're going to be opening this up to all professional subscribers as part of the web app over the coming month or so. Alrighty, we're also going to, that's the code there that you can use if you can't scan the QR code for whatever reason. So it's just Nansen API 10 at checkout, and you should get a discount, which you can pay for with either fiat or crypto. I'm going to share a few things just around the Loud token, which has been very loud on Twitter over the weekend. And I'm then going to share a little bit more about the API, which is also live on the professional tier. And then we'll have some room for Q&A towards the end. So we'll have about 5-10 minutes for that. So drop all of your questions in the chat and we'll definitely make sure that we come back to them. But I'm going to share my screen now and we can take a look at this loud token together. Okay, there we go. Bear with me, just on the one screen. So this loud token has been very, very loud on Twitter. For all of you that were browsing crypto Twitter over the weekend, this is probably all you saw was this loud token, which was basically a reward mechanism to distribute tokens to top mindshare contributors. It was quite interesting, quite an interesting piece of innovation, really. However, what it led to was just a bunch of noise on crypto Twitter, almost to the point where crypto Twitter was somewhat unusable to find alpha because it was just posts in and around this from what I believe to be engagement farmers looking to get their hands on tokens for free. So low signal, a lot of noise. Funny that you get what's in the name, really. And I just wanted to share some interesting on-chain data to really back up that case here, that it's, to me, not really something that's so worth looking into and is much more noise than signal. Let's take a look at the token. So there's a few interesting things that led me to this conclusion. The first is actually looking at the holders tab. So on token gold mode, you get complete visibility into what's happening on a token on chain. But what I love to use the most are these public figure and smart money options here. If I was to select public figure, this is going to show me how the token is distributed across really well-known Twitter accounts, really well-known public figures in the space. Some of these folks you're going to be familiar with. Some of these folks are actually Nansen affiliates as well, like Sammy here, for example. But it was quite standout to me that public figures actually hold very little amounts of the token, which again almost reinforces that it's maybe not so strong accounts that are being so loud on Twitter about loud over the weekend. If we look at smart money as well, we can see that the allocation is actually quite low. And the supply owned of smart money addresses compared to others has actually been decreasing. I really like to look at this comparison of balance and the supply owned. Again, like the public figures is 0.18%. So very, very low. But I actually wanted to show you one of my probably favorite features that Nansen has launched over the last year, and we've actually just shipped it yesterday in stealth for professional users. And it's really going to give me even better insight into what is happening off-chain on Twitter around this token. And what we can see here, if you are a professional subscriber, is that I can analyze the last 7 days of activity on X by the click of a button. I can change the date ranges here as well. So if I just wanted to analyze the last 24 hours of activity on X, I can change that. I'm just going to go with 7 days so it captures the entire weekend. But if I click on this, it's actually going to give me an AI summary of smart money addresses that are linked to Twitter accounts. So I can see and also the same for public figures. So Nansen does a really great job of attributing these on-chain addresses to these Twitter accounts. And now with a click of a button, I can get a comprehensive AI analysis to give me an idea of like what is actually happening on Twitter. So I get that on-chain view as well as that off-chain view, which just gives me a complete perspective of everything that I really need to know. So just some call outs from like smart money specifically. It has seen some disappointment since post-launch. The price has only dipped from there. We also can see that recent posts from smart money reflect more bearishness with doubts of Loud's value unless additional value or incentive mechanisms are added. I can see what some of these top public figures are also describing as well, more bearish sentiment across some of these top folks, and actually some like Nansen curated accounts as well. So potentially accounts that aren't labeled as smart money or aren't a public figure, but maybe accounts that Nansen finds really interesting. And here we can see like all of X. What is everyone sort of thinking at the moment? So based on this, based on a lot of the on-chain analysis as well, to me, it seems like, again, a lot of noise for really not so much signal. I would suggest if you're a professional user playing around with this feature, it is going to save you a ton of time in your research, your investing journey, alongside many of the other bits and pieces that we've shown today. Last but not least, and actually almost somewhat the most exciting of what we're going to share today, is that Nansen has actually launched its very own API, which enables programmatic access to the whole of Nansen, which then you can feed into your own systems or tools, dashboards, to give you a lot more customizability on how you want to visualize the data. So if you are maybe a fund and you're looking to backtest certain trading strategies and you need on-chain data, or maybe you're interested in pulling some of this data into a community or into a trading bot that you're building, the API is really going to enable that. So the API is built on the same data that the Nansen web app is built on top of. So you can essentially think about getting access to everything on Nansen via the API. We currently support 3 different endpoints as we are just in a closed beta at the moment. So you can get access to smart money endpoints. You can get access to profiler endpoints, which is how you can get complete visibility into an entity or an address. And then you can also get token God mode endpoint access as well. So really, really interesting stuff. We've got teams like Wintermute and Infinex who are testing this out at the moment. And you can actually get your hands on it as well by applying the discount code that we will display on screen and purchasing a 6-month or a 12-month subscription. Alternatively, you can go into the draw to win a 6-month subscription by registering in the Luma link, which we'll drop in the chat shortly. So if you're considering API solutions at the moment, Nansen is really differentiates itself on its labeling and its coverage. So we have super, super strong coverage across a number of different chains, as you can see here. We also have complete access to all of the Nansen labels, including smart money. You will not find smart money via API anywhere else on the market, which can give you some very, very unique insights that you can't find elsewhere. We can drop the link to the docs in the chat as well. Otherwise, just head to nansen.ai/API and you can learn a little bit more about it there. If you head to this page though, you see that you can only get on the waitlist. But if you apply that code at checkout, I can hook you up early and get you part of that beta testing round, and you can get your hands on it alongside teams like Wintermute and Infinex. Okay, so that is a quick summary of the API, the Loud token, and overall a lot on the professional plan today. So again, quick summary on the professional plan before we just quickly move on to the Q&A. You get complete access to the Nansen web app, complete access to indicators, which Aurelie shared, our alpha community of smart money investors, and also now the API. Jump on board with a 12-monthly plan for access to alpha and a 6-monthly plan if you're just looking for the API. Alrighty, well, I'll pause here. I will stop the sharing and we can move on to some Q&A. Which I believe will pop up there. Stefan has a question here. How do you know that those wallets are smart money? So within the app, it's an address is distinguished by having a little nerd emoji, and that's how it really stands out from other addresses. The way that we actually calculate it is based on our proprietary P&L data. So we consider like your win rate, your ROI, your number of trades, your realized P&L, and more to curate essentially a list of about 5,000 addresses. It is a dynamic list, so if you're no longer in the top P&L, you will unfortunately lose your smart money status and you will drop to a former smart money label instead, just so you can rely on the data here being fresh. So you can make better investment decisions. There are also a number of funds and entities labeled as smart money as well. So some venture funds, some liquid funds, etc. How can I subscribe to you? That's a great question. Look forward to having you jump on board, Les, and seeing you win on chain. So you can head to nansen.ai/plans. And if you apply the code, or you can use that link that's just been dropped in the chat there. If you apply that code, which we'll display in a moment as well, then you can get 10% off one of those professional plans. I'm taking a few of these. Stefan again, thanks for all the questions. What about Bitcoin on-chain data? What do you got in Nansen? So we just recently integrated Bitcoin over the last sort of month or so, 2 months. It's still in beta. You can access it in token gold mode, so you can see how the balances are distributed. You can understand also certain entities. We've got really strong coverage on entities and addresses. You can also access that via the API. So that's in the web app and API. There is some restrictions still with like wallet profiler for token and things like that, but it is pretty sufficient, to be honest. Aurelie, I'll let you take this one. The question is, so does risk on mean more risk? Oh, Aurelie, I think you're muted.
Yes, apologies. So if it refers to the barometer, absolutely. It's so how we did it in the backtest, we did a very simple strategy where when you move to risk on, actually you're full on risk. So you could be, for example, for BTC, full on BTC allocation. And when you move to risk off, you're full on USDC and 0 BTC. So then it depends on your calibration, how much you're comfortable to take usually. So for example, I'm quite a conservative person, and I wouldn't allocate more than 30% of my portfolio to crypto. So when I'm feel super bullish, I just go to the 30% when the barometer turns risk on. And then when it's neutral, I just maybe reduce it to 15. And then when it's risk off, I'm really careful and I have it to 5%. Of course, all these percentages depend on your strategy, but the idea is when it's risk on, you can go closer to the max of your risk budget as a suggestion.
James, our smart alert wizard, all yours.
Yeah, of course. Mark, yes. Mark asks, can you explain the power of smart alerts? Yes, absolutely. So really what smart alerts allows you to do is get real-time updates when you're away from the app. That's the best use case for it. Instead of you having to crawl through different wallets to see what they're trading, you can actually just set the criteria that you want to receive an alert for. Maybe you want to see 3 or 4 specific smart money addresses and track them, and anytime a sufficient number of tokens in terms of USD comes into their wallet, you can get an alert for it. So again, the best bit about smart alerts is actually being able to step away from Nansen and then get an alert when an event happens that you care about. If you haven't seen anything about it, if you haven't seen our previous webinars, I'd point you to our YouTube channel, because in our previous webinars, we covered a lot on alerts before. I think especially in the first few webinars. So yeah, if you want to learn more about alerts, definitely check there and we will be able to help you out. Hopefully that gives you what you need, Mark. Just before we go, I did see 2 questions related to jobs in the comments there. If you are looking for any job listings, go to Nansen careers. If you just look up Nansen careers or Nansen.ai careers, it should come up and you'll see all the open positions in there. And
Nice
I
one.
believe with that, we're beginning to wrap it up here. We want to say thank you very much to everyone for coming. We really appreciate it. We think these have been really useful for us to get to know our user base better, but hopefully it has been useful for you guys as well, so we can impart some of our knowledge.
Yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in. We do these sessions monthly. You can catch up on past sessions in the link that we just shared in the chat there, or by heading over to the YouTube channel and selecting the live tab. But otherwise, look forward to seeing you win on one of you win this free 6-monthly professional subscription. And I hope all of you enjoy testing out the API as well once you've got your hands on one of those professional subs. But otherwise, see you next month. Good luck on chain, and thanks for tuning in.